So for section 8.2, the main topic is multiple object pronouns. As a review, the main pronouns that we have learned so far are reflexive pronouns, indirect object pronouns, and direct object pronouns. Reflexive pronouns generally go with a verb for a reflexive verb, and a reflexive verb is something that you do to yourself. So, me lavo las manos, I wash my hands, me cepillo los dientes, I brush my teeth, me visto, I dress myself. As you can see here, all the pronouns for the different subjects. For indirect object pronouns, they replace the indirect object of a sentence. And as a review, in order to figure out what the indirect object of a sentence, you ask the question, to whom or for whom. Likewise, for direct object pronouns, they replace the direct object in the sentence. And to find out what the direct object in a sentence is, you have to ask the question, what? So as you can see, here are all the pronouns that we have learned so far. When using multiple pronouns, an acronym to remember is RID, which gives you an idea of the order in which the pronouns are placed. R for reflexive, I for indirect, and D for direct. So they will always be found in this order if you have more than one pronoun in a sentence. One thing to remember is that you cannot have more than two pronouns in a sentence. So you can have both reflexive and indirect, reflexive and direct, indirect and direct, but you cannot have all three. So for some examples, we have the sentence me lavo las manos. We know that the reflexive pronoun is me for lavarse, the verb. The direct object, we ask, what do you wash? Las manos. So las manos is the direct object, and the pronoun is las. So since we know the acronym is RID, our reflexive first followed by direct, we would have me las lavo. In this example, nos sirvieron los platos a nosotros. To find the indirect object, we asked, to whom were the plates served? Well, they were served to us, a nosotros. So nos would be the indirect object pronoun. What was served? ¿Qué sirvieron? Los platos. So los platos would be the direct object. So since we know the acronym is RID, RID, indirect first followed by direct, we would have nos los sirvieron. One thing to note is that if you have the indirect object pronouns of le and les, followed by the direct object pronoun of lo, la, los, or las, then the le and les turns to a se. So another way to write out the indirect object pronouns are me, te, le, or se, nos, les, or se, depending if you have two pronouns. So some examples using this, we have the sentence, le escribo una carta a Juana. To whom is the letter being written? A Juana. So the indirect object pronoun would be le. What is being written? A letter. So una carta would be the direct object, and the pronoun is la. Since we have le and la, the le would turn to a se, and we know the order is RID, indirect first, followed by direct. So we would have se la escribo. Another example, le sirvieron los camarones a los invitados. To whom were the camarones served? To the invitados, so the indirect object pronoun would be les. What was served? Los camarones, so the direct object would be los. Since we have les and los, the les turns to a se, and we would have se los sirvieron. One thing to remember is that pronouns cannot be separated. You either have them before the conjugated verb or attached to the infinitive verb, but you can't have one before or one after. They both have to be together either before or after. So, an example, te voy a dar un regalo, te being the indirect object pronoun and un regalo being the direct object pronoun. So, we could either place them before the conjugated verb, te lo voy a dar, or attached to the end of an infinitive, voy a dártelo. Likewise, les vas a mostrar una foto, les being the indirect object pronoun, and una foto is the direct object. The direct object pronoun is la. So we can either place them both before the conjugated verb, se la vas a mostrar, or attached to the end of the infinitive verb, vas a mostrársela. One thing to note is the accent mark on both of these here, and that's mainly to maintain the same pronunciation. Since we haven't learned accent rules, one thing to know I would recommend is simply you place the pronouns before the conjugated verb, since they both mean the exact same thing and they're interchangeable. So for the homework in the first activity, what you have to do is replace the direct object with the direct object pronoun. So for the first sentence, la camarera te sirvió el plato de pasta con mariscos. What was served? El plato de pasta con mariscos. So the direct object pronoun would be lo. So since we know the order is rid, and this is the indirect object pronoun, we would place it afterwards, the direct object pronoun afterwards, giving us la camarera te lo sirvió. For number 2, Isabel nos llevó la sal y la pimienta a la mesa. Well, nos is the indirect object pronoun, and la sal y la pimienta are the direct object pronouns. Since they're plural and they're both feminine, the direct object pronoun would be las. So we would have Isabel nos las llevó, or Isabela nos las llevó a la mesa. For number 3, Javier me pidió el aceite y el vinagre anoche. What did he ask me for? El aceite y el vinagre. So since it's plural and both masculine, the direct object pronoun would be los. So we would have Javier me los pidió. For the second one, what you have to do is replace both the direct object pronoun, the reflexive pronoun, or the indirect object pronoun, so you have a double object pronoun sentence. So in the first one, la dueña nos abrió la sección de no fumar. Nos is the indirect object pronoun. La sección de no fumar is the direct object pronoun, the direct object, and the pronoun would be la. So we would have la dueña nos la abrió. For number 2, le pidieron los menús al camarero. So to whom were the menus, or asked, or from whom were they asked? Al camarero. So le is the indirect object pronoun. What was asked for? Los menús. So los would be the direct object pronoun. And since we have both le and los, the le would turn into a se. So we would have se los pidieron.